up, guys? Kyle here, ready to dive into this week's Pebble Beach Pro-Am tournament preview. Last week, we had all the pieces of the puzzle except for one. We chose to fade Chris Scottie up at ownership, which really came back to bite us in the rear. But, you know, it's going to happen from time to time. Absolutely incredible finish from him, going 5 under through his final 6 holes. Just, again, very much deserved win from him. Now, this week, for the Pebble Beach tournament preview, we are going to look at the weather, which almost always plays a factor, look at the key stats for this week, create a model, see what we like and don't like, then wrap things up with some of my favorite bets. And if we have time, we'll hop over to Tap in Fantasy, showcase the new updates. No need to ramble. Let's jump. All right, we are still out on the West Coast at Pebble Beach this week. It is the first elevated event of the season, which means we have a no-cut, 80-man field, some of the best golfers in the world all playing this week. Just some tidbits about Pebble Beach itself. This is going to be a 2-course rotation, so Thursday and Friday, golfers are going to play one of Pebble Beach golf links and then Spyglass Hill, and then they will finish the weekend at Pebble Beach. Now, these are 2 of the shortest golf courses on the entire PGA Tour circuit, so things are going to play completely different than most weeks. It is one of the less than driver heavy courses. Guys are not going to be pulling driver all that often, but the biggest thing that's going to come into play is almost always going to be the weather. You've got water on pretty much every hole, given this is all surrounded by the ocean, and these coastal winds are going to pick up. So you could see some wind gusts of 20 to 30 miles an hour really at the drop of a hat. You never know when it's going to happen. So it's really important that the first thing we take a look at is going to be the weather this week. Now, all in all, things are showing that it's going to be fairly chill, so to speak, for Thursday and Friday. I'm seeing wind gusts up to about 15, 14 miles an hour. But all in all, it's fairly tame. Thursday, if we want to see this right here where winds are expected to pick up kind of in the later evening, which will probably give some more of an advantage to the AM wave. But it's nothing really considerable. Friday's a bit of the same. So just looking at these factors, I don't think there's really going to be a weather edge for either of the waves. I think they're going to be playing in similar conditions for both Thursday and Friday. But again, this is one of those. Only 80 golfers. There's no actual waves. Everybody's going to be going out in probably 2s or 3s starting at, like 8 a.m. local time, and the final group will go out like around 11 or 12. I'm not 100% sure on that quite yet, but that's kind of what I am seeing. Now, the weekend plays a little bit different. Saturday is going to be fairly tame pretty much all day. Again, you will have some coastal winds pick up, so you are going to want to target some guys that do play well in the wind. But it's not all that crazy. Now, Sunday is when things drastically are starting to elevate. We're seeing some rain coming into the forecast, and then those wind gusts and just the standard wind. I mean, I think it's going to be playing real tough. You're going to want either a very sizable lead, or you're just going to have to basically play like par golf and hope others mess around and pick up some bogeys, because this wind is going to pick up. It's going to be drastic. I'd be shocked if, I'm not seeing any like thunder or lightning. I'd be shocked if they stop play. But these wind gusts are considerable, so you need to factor that in. I could definitely see, once it comes to evening, some of those later groups are going off on Sunday. They could struggle. We could see a guy that starts off like 5-6 shots back that gets 6 to 8 holes in considerably better conditions versus the leaders that could storm back and win this one. So that's it for weather this week. Again, there's not really much of a wave advantage because there's really not much of a wave. Like there really isn't any waves. But all in all, the winds Thursday to Saturday look considerably better than I was expecting. So that's pretty much it for weather. What we're going to hop into now is we're going to look at some of the key stats for Pebble Beach. All right, so again, we are at Pebble Beach. This is going to be a 2-course rotation. They're going to be playing at Pebble Beach Golf Links and Spyglass Hill. There are plenty of nuances about Pebble Beach that make it a unique track to play at. This is one of the shortest courses on the PGA Tour rotation with a length under 7,000 yards. Spyglass Hill plays a little over 7,000, but all in all, they're quite similar. Spyglass actually plays a little bit more difficult, but it's nothing that's going to really have a factor in terms of who you might play in a showdown lineup. Maybe do a 4-2 Pebble Beach over Spyglass, but you can really look at it a bunch of different ways. I probably wouldn't say there's that much of a difference. They also have some of the smallest greens on tour. So what does that mean? That's obviously going to mean These guys are going to be playing from around the green quite a bit. I think that's going to be an incredibly important factor this week. Scrambling is also going to play an important factor. Sand save percentage. There's quite a few bunkers surrounding the greens at Pebble Beach. So all in all, those things, which some weeks don't have that big of a impact, are going to have a very sizable impact. Now, this place is being played on the ocean, which means water's in play on just about every hole. Pair that with the significant wind gusts that is going to cause issues for pretty much everyone. You're going to want guys that play well in the wind, even though it's kind of hard to track and model for, but that's pretty much what we're going to be looking at. Now, off the tee, given the terrain, water, and wind factors, accuracy is 99% of the time going to be more important than distance. Now, I do understand that Rory last year completely dismantled this course by just pulling driver and hitting it a mile past everyone when everybody's, taking out their 3-woods or their long irons and just hitting it to 250, 275. He was pulling driver and hitting it as far as he could, giving himself some wedges in, which, again, last year was kind of shocking given the fact that he, coming into that one, his wedge game was just abysmal. And he somehow gained, I'm pretty sure, 5 or 6 strokes alone just with the short irons and around the green compared to the other golfers. So, again, accuracy over distance. Almost 30% of shots will come from 75 to 125 yard range. So, again, short irons, wedge game is going to be crucially important this week, with iron accuracy being a key factor. Small green complexes and above average number of bunkers surrounding the green, which, again, is going to cause save sand percentage and scrambling to become a key stat. And then, as always, we're just going to be looking at the grass type for on these greens, and we are a Poa Annua overseed blend, which again gets, as the day goes on, it's gonna grow, it's gonna get bumpy, tough to read. So golfers that putt well on Poa Annua are going to be a big part of my lineups. Now, the last thing that really is important to talk about is par 5 scoring. I'm thinking it's something like 11 of the 14 non-par 5 holes play on average over par. So you are going to have to pick up your shots on the par 5s. There's still 4 of them on the course. So there's 4 birdie opportunities every single time you're playing at Pebble. So that is going to be very, very important to me this week. So given all of those things, we're going to build a custom model. Now, I kind of have a lot of things thrown around, a bunch of 5s and 10s as a part of my model, but just some of the strokes gained categories: 5 on approach, 10 on around the green, 10 strokes gained total. I think those make up a sizable amount of what you need this week. Going down a little bit, we are at, I think it's scoring bogey avoidance. If you're going to be picking up bogeys, you're going to fall behind quick. There aren't many opportunities to score. So if you're going backwards, it's going to be tough to go back forwards. Driving accuracy, I put 15 on driving accuracy. I didn't do anything with distance. I guess you could look at it a couple different ways that typically golfers don't do it with distance, but also you do have Rory who destroyed the course. So maybe there's some guys that follow in Rory's footsteps from last year, and pull driver a little bit more frequently, but I'm going with the accuracy route. 8 out of the last 10 years, it has been the accuracy route, so I'm going to follow that statistic. Fairways gained, you're going to need to be hitting it out of the fairway. Next thing is on approach. We already put some on approach earlier, but I put 5 on 75, 100, 5 on 100 to 125, because those are going to be the typical wedge short iron buckets you're going to be hitting out of this week. And then scrambling, I put 10 here. What I'm going to actually adjust this is I'm going to go 5 and 5. Because not only are you going to have to scramble, you're going to have to hit it out of the sand quite a bit. That's going to be crucially important. 10 on Poa Annua putting. And I think last but not least, 2 extra things. 10 on strokes gained par 5s. And then lastly, we do have 10 on strokes gained at Pebble Beach, which spits out our model. And let's sort by score. Shocker, we have Scottie at the top, just around at the top 10. Scottie, Scheffler, Russell Henley, Siwoo Kim, Pearson Coody, Matt Fitzpatrick, Victor Hovland, Tommy Fleetwood, Hideki Matsuyama, JJ Spawn, and Jake Knapp. Now, you don't see Rory. Part of the reason for that is some of the data points that we are looking at this week, we do not have his last 36 rounds for, which is a bit shocking because we have Tommy Fleetwood, who is playing basically the exact same tournaments. All in all, don't really know what happened there. But what we're about to do is we're going to sort by salary and then kind of go grouping by grouping. We'll start with the 10K range, then go 9, 8, 7, 6, kind of look at different golfers that stand out in the model, or kind of look at their recent play and see if we can identify guys we like, guys we don't like, um, given the stat modeling. So let's jump right in. All right, the 10K range. There's only 3 golfers, much to no surprise. Scottie Scheffler at the top at a crazy 14K. I'm actually kind of shocked that with a smaller field, and then a lot of these golfers all being top-notch PGA pros. I mean, they're in these elevated events for a reason. I'm kind of shocked they still have Scottie up at 14K. Now, he's basically a top 5 machine. He's number 1 in our model, and if you are doing any sort of model and he's not number 1, you're doing it wrong. So much no surprise that he is modeling the best. If you can fit Scottie in, play Scottie. I think I saw some statistic that he is alternating wins in top 5s. So he finished top 5 last week. He's due for a win. I know he's an incredible course fit here. I think his game models incredibly well, especially in these short wedge categories. I mean, if he plays how we expect him to play, he's going to be sticking it to within 5 feet, easy 5-10 feet, easy putts. But on these Poa Annua surfaces, they can't give guys the fit, so you never really know. All in all, if you can fit in Scottie, I'd be playing Scottie. Now Rory, again, he doesn't model well, but again, it's based off of we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different categorical statistics for him. Which again, Tommy is playing the exact same tournaments as him. I don't know why those aren't appearing, but I see no reason you can't play him. I think he's going to do exactly what he did last year. The scary thing is that he was incredibly accurate with his driver, so he didn't really get himself into a lot of trouble. If he does happen to get himself into some trouble, I think you could see him kind of flounder a bit. And again, he really hasn't played here all that much. He obviously won last year, but the year prior he was a T66. There are some avenues for him to completely blow this up, but he's coming in just fine form. I know he didn't play that all that well at the Hero Dubai Desert Classic. But at T3 at the Dubai Invitational, second on the DP World Tour, T3 at Abu Dhabi. I mean, elite form. It's Rory McIlroy. He's going to be excited to play his first event on the PGA Tour circuit this year. Now, Tommy Fleetwood, he's probably the one that, if you want to save a little bit, going down to Tommy, I see no issue at all. The one big problem is going to be the sand saves, but all in all, he's fairly good from these approach bucket ranges. He's got good fairways gained. He's a very accurate driver off of the tee, and he avoids bogeys. That's going to be incredibly important. So, and then 5th in strokes gained total over the last 36. Sign me up. I see no problem with really any of these guys. I think I'd be a little bit hesitant to go to Rory, but again, if you can fit in Scottie, fit him in. Really like Tommy this week. Especially, I don't think he's going to be that highly owned. He might be completely wrong, but no issue with going Tommy, Scottie. Little hesitant on Rory. All right, the 9K range. The model seems to love pretty much everybody. We're actually going to start from the bottom up because those are going to be the controversial takes, so to speak. Starting with Chris Goddard. Now, he played phenomenal last week. They didn't really price him up as much as I thought they would. I see no issue with you playing him, but my warning is going to be just looking at the statistical model and how he has played and where he's excelled at over the last 36 rounds. There is one spot that he is typically not the best with, and that is going to be with his wedges from 75 to 125. He is not good compared to the other guys in this field. He's also never played at Pebble Beach. I need to fact check that. I just want to be sure. No, he is not. He's coming in with incredible form. 2 wins out of his last 4. He's starting the season incredibly hot. Just all in all, I think the places, I just don't think this is the track for him. I'd rather play him at a longer track where you're taking a lot of long irons into the green with this incredibly high apex height, club head speed. It's going to be a lot of point and click, shoot to a spot, and then you're taking those short irons in. That's not exactly his game. And when you're in an elevated event with the best golfers in the world, all at one tournament, I think he could fall behind if those short irons really aren't clicking. I think pretty much everything else he's going to do fine at. I know over the last 36, his driving accuracy isn't the best, bogey avoidance isn't the best. But if you want to take the route of just purely coming in great form, I see no problem with going Goddard up. I'm not going to talk much about Xander. They're daring us to play him. I'm not going to play him. I don't like where his game's at one bit. Now, pretty much everybody in this range you can make an argument for. I'm probably going to be playing Russell Henley. He's the cheapest of the bunch. This is the perfect track for him. Um, Great short irons and long irons. I mean, just irons all around. Very accurate driver of the golf ball. He scrambles well. He hits it out of the sand well. Um, and I mean, T5 here last year. He's come in with a T8 and a T19 at Sony in the Amex. No problem with Russell. Um, Justin Rose is going to be very popular this week. I wish his long irons, or sorry, his short irons and wedges were a little bit better. But he's got great course history here. Great out of the sand. Driving accuracy is just fine. He actually hits it fairly far, and scores well on the par fives. Avoids bogeys. Everything just lines up for him to have another good week. Um, what was he 2 weeks ago? Wasn't it? Yeah, the Farmers. He just absolutely sun run the course, destroyed everyone. First there, we'll excuse the missed cut at the Amex. It's just a weird tournament. Then sixth of the Hero World Challenge, coming in great form. See no problem with going to Rose. I probably won't. Um, just on the merit that he's not the best around the green. And he doesn't scramble all that well, but still, see no problem going with him. Hideki, I think the driving accuracy is going to be a problem. That you're going to need to be accurate off the tee. If he's not accurate, which last week, honestly, he got himself out of some serious messes. Like, he was playing out of the rough quite a bit, and he was holding some crazy putts. I don't know how replicable that is going to be this week. So probably out on Hideki, but he's coming in good form. If we're talking about form, though, Siwoo Kim, elite form, great with his irons. Stroke gained total is amazing. He avoids bogeys fairly well. He's a very accurate driver of the golf ball. Big things kind of that are a little bit shaky. Doesn't have the best course history here. He's not the best with his short irons, but it'll work. And he's not the best Poa Annua putter, but like this man loses 1 or 2 strokes putting every single week and still somehow finishes in the top 10. So no problem with him. Victor, I wish his around the green game was a little bit better. But all in all, I think he does everything else beautifully. This is a really good course. What is his history here? T58 and T13, it's really not the best. He's coming in decent form. Again, T10 at Phoenix. T14, Hero Dubai Classic. I think you can go with him. It's just fine. But the around the green game does scare me a little bit. So all in all, with the 9K range, really like Siwoo, really like Henley. Completely out on Xander. Like, there's no way I'm making that click even at 9,100. And I know fading Chris Scottie up again is probably going to bite me in the butt. He's probably going to follow the Rory route from last year and just try to destroy the course with distance. But I don't like where his short irons are at. So that's it for the 9K range. Let's hop into the 8s. All right, the 8K range. We've got 11 guys in this 8K range. And again, since it's an elevated event, it's pretty loaded. Some of these guys I just like more. I think they stand out a lot more compared to the rest. And it kind of starts out with Matt Fitzpatrick. He's top 10 in both par 5 scoring and accuracy. While he really isn't the best with his short irons, I think he's going to give himself the ability to have a lot of good looks. It's just going to be a matter of can he put it on the green. He's got some decent history here. He gains fairways in an elite level. The driving accuracy solid. Par 5s he scores very well on. Strokes gained total around the green. All of it kind of adds up. It's kind of interesting how you can be, this is kind of concerning, second in strokes gained around the green, but your sand saves and scrambling numbers are poor. Maybe the sand saves is from the fairway. But all in all, I think at ownership, he is a very interesting pivot from a lot of these guys that are around him. Big thing is he's just got to find the green. Greens and regulations are going to be key for him. If he can do that, I think he's going to be a great play. If not, maybe there's definitely some concerns. Now, the next guy, kind of on the flip side, is going to be Jason Day. He is going to be massively owned. He's coming in pretty decent form. Again, a T2 at the Amex, T38 at the Farmers isn't the best, but a T20 at Bank of Utah, T23 at the BMW Championship. I mean, he's coming in good form. The biggest thing is going to be the course history. When you take current form is strong, and he's got great course history. I mean, this guy is going to come in just at ridiculous ownership. The thing is, I actually do really like him this week. He models fairly well. I think his around the green game is very strong. My biggest kind of issues are that he is not good on par 5s by any means. And right now, his long irons really aren't in the best spots, so this definitely couldn't come back to bite me in the butt. But again, there's clearly some level of form, and he really loves this track. So I see no reason that you can't go back to Day this week. If the ownership gets wildly out of control, maybe that's where I might pivot to some of these other guys like a Ben Griffin or a Bobby Mack. But I really do like Jason Day, and kind of to wrap things up is also going to be Bobby Mack. If we're going to get some wind kicking up, I think this is the perfect style of course that I think Robert McIntyre could succeed at. He's not really the best on approach, which is concerning. He avoids bogeys, though. Fairly fine with the driving accuracy. He scrambles very well. He's good from 75 to 100 yards, so if he can just get it out there and put himself in the position to have 75 to 100-yard wedge shots in, I think he can be very, very solid. Big concern is the course history. He doesn't really play here all that well, but he's coming in really solid form. I know a lot of it's in Europe, but T38 at the AMX, but it's Sony T4, 12th at the Hero World Challenge, even though it's out of 20 people. TA, the DP World Tour Championship, 9 at Abu Dhabi. Alfred Dunhill Links he won. It's just he doesn't really play here that often. Again, T40 last year. But I think this would be the style of play that he could really succeed at. Now, some of the last couple of tracks we've been playing at where there's been no wind at all, and guys are just firing at pins, I think that might not exactly be his facade. But this week, I like Bobby Mack, and again, I don't think he's going to come in with much ownership at all. So going down the list, Cam Young at 8,100, really a big fan of him. Like I want to love him. Again, great on the par fives, great strokes gained total numbers. He avoids bogeys. The big thing is going to be the driving accuracy. He kind of sprays it off the tee, and it's typically long. He doesn't putt well on these surfaces, and all in all, he does not have good history at all at Pebble Beach. I know the short irons are fine, and a lot of the rest of the game is fine. I mean, he's good scrambling, sand saves, all that kind of stuff. It's really just going to come down to, I think he might put himself in too many disadvantageous spots off the tee where he's really scrambling around to make do for just pars, and that could bite him in the butt. So kind of just to rattle some other things off from the AK range, like Cantlay, he's got great course history. He's got some spotty form coming in. Par 5 scoring and accuracy are both poor, so I'm probably not going to be playing him. I know he's going to be heavily owned. Same with Maverick McNeely. Got great form coming in, but also has some accuracy issues. Hasn't been the best scrambler over his last 3-6 rounds. I don't really see a path for me picking him, especially at that ownership. I think he's something like 4th best odds to win this tournament, and if that's going to be the case, then that's just crazy considering the strength of this field. So I'm probably out on Mav McNeely. Thor Bjornsson, I like his play, but I don't like the price tag. I would much rather go to some other guys, either above or below him. Already talked about Day and Griffin. Ludwig Oberg, I just don't like where his game's at, so I'm not going to go there at all. I still think something's bothering him. It's either an injury or that illness is creeping up. So I'm out on Ludwig. And then Burns and Berger, they're two where it's like around the green, they're both so incredibly poor. Berger is not good at scrambling sand staves. Short irons aren't there. I know he has a win here, which is nice to have. Again, the course history bump. But just where he's kind of coming in with his game, I don't think the current stats fit the mold of a guy that's going to go out and crush Pebble. Sam Burns, I think I like a little bit more. He's better with those short irons. Scrambles slightly better, and he's a little bit more accurate off the tee. I think his big thing is going to just be the around the green. I think this is almost close. Like, these two are almost dead last in the field around the green. If you aren't sticking it on the green, you're going to have some troubles. I kind of do like Burns, but I'm not going to get to Berger at all. So that is it for the 8K range. Now into the 7s. All right, the 7K range, this is going to be a complete problem because there are quite a few guys coming in amazing form. It's all really going to come down to if they fit this course for me. Just going down the list, like Jay Knapp is absolutely on fire at 7,900, incredible. Shane Lowry, exact same thing. Great history. I know it's all over in Europe. Great history. Again, second last year here. Coming in great form. I know it's all in Europe, but again, Europe, it's gaining traction. Harris English coming in great form. Honestly, Sepp's coming in pretty solid form. I know we missed the cut at the Amex. Pearson Coody, Ricky Fowler. I mean, Coody is absolutely on fire. Ryan Gerard, absolutely on fire. Again, Ricky, 4 straight top 10 or top 20s, really solid. Nick Taylor, 4 straight top 30s. That's pretty good. Sahith, Poston, Keith Mitchell, Aaron Rye, even though I'm kind of scared of what, hey, he kind of WD to the last second, but again, outside of this T50, an 18, 41 first, T3, even Sam Stevens to kind of wrap things up. I mean, all of those guys coming in great form. So which ones of those coming in good form and model well? Let's take a look. Where did I? Oh, I scrolled up too far. No, I didn't. All right. So at the top, Knapp and Lowry model just fine for me. I think Knapp is definitely going to be big time play. He's first in par 5 scoring. Avoids bogeys at a pretty decent level. Strokes gained total is good. Sand saves, he scrambles well. Putts well on these surfaces. Second in the field from 100 to 125. Oh boy, he's going to be massive chalk. I don't think I really care about the driving accuracy with everything else just being a complete check mark. Love me some Jake Knapp. Now, Shane Lowry, second in approach over his last 36. Scores well on the par 5s. Avoids bogeys like no one's business. This is going to be an issue. Very similar to Knapp. Like, if he's spraying it off the tee, he could run into some troubles. Best scrambler, best sand saver. I mean, this is a great stat profile for what we're looking for. I know we didn't really talk about him in terms of form. This should be a perfect course for Colin Morikawa with, I mean, just amazing iron play, very accurate off the tee. His putting is just absolutely abysmal. He's probably one of the worst. Wow, he really isn't all that bad on Poa Annua. If there's ever time to get back in on Colin, I think it would be this week. His big thing is he hasn't been scoring well in the par 5s because he's not getting it far enough out there, and he's having to give himself a layup in on the green. So if he's not hitting a putt, then he's kind of sunk there. And again, his bogey avoidance lately has just been terrible. But kind of moving on, Harris English, another guy that's modeling very well, avoids bogeys well, very accurate driver off the tee, good scrambler. He's really not the best from 75 to 100, but 100 to 125 he's good. Gains fairways in an elite level. I guess kind of the course history is going to be an issue. Sepp's another one very similar to Bobby Mack, where I think he's it should be a good condition tournament for him, but he doesn't model well at all. Scores well on the par 5s, though. But yeah, I'm going to have an absolute metric ton of Pearson Coody, Fowler, and Ryan Gerard. I mean, it's going to be very tough for me to pick one of these guys. I mean, Coody is, I'm going to go all the way up the top. Where is he in the model? He is 4th overall in the entire model. I mean, he's playing such incredible golf. His advancements in the strokes gained total categories for tee to green have just been immense. I mean, he is top 20 in all of approach around the green total, par 5 scoring, bogey avoidance, sand saves, scrambling is solid, driving accuracy is solid, second in these putting on these greens. I mean, there's not a single thing outside the top 40. That's incredible. I know he hasn't played here, but loves Pearson Coody this week. I hope the rug doesn't get pulled out from underneath me. Ricky's Ricky. He's going to be Mr. Consistent. Third in bogey avoidance. I think that could definitely save him this week. Very accurate driver. Scrambles incredibly well. Decent enough with his wedges. Gains fairways well, but big thing is he's never really played well here. Maybe it's because he hasn't played here in a while. Where are you, Ricky? T53, T47 his last couple of years. Maybe he just doesn't have an eye for this place. But kind of moving on, I know we talked about Nick Taylor. He was one. He models incredibly well, especially for the price tag. I mean, he scrambles very well, sand saves. He's an accurate driver, avoids bogeys. He's not the best on the par 5s. That could become an issue. Not the best with approach game, but all in all, seems to be a fine play, and he definitely has good history here. Talking of guys with good history, Pendrith and Spieth look solid, but I don't think I'm going to get to him, especially where Spieth's game is at right now. And Taylor Pendrith's a little too wayward off the tee. So, Sahith, does he model well? He models decently. Good approach numbers, good around the green. I think he's a decent pivot. I'm probably still going to be going up to the Pearson, Fowler, Gerard range, but if you need a little bit of a discount, I see no problem going with him. Just going down, who else do we have down here in the low 7s that seem to have pretty good, coming in good form? Kirk Kitayama's looking pretty solid. Poston, yeah, this is a loaded range. I mean, this range looks really solid on paper. I genuinely think the 7Ks is where it's going to make or break you. I always like Kirk Hideki because he's great with his irons. Definitely falls short in a lot of other things. Does not putt well on these surfaces, so I'm out on him. Poston's a guy that I could definitely see unlocking this week. Very solid with his wedges. Gains fairways at an elite level. Putts well on these surfaces. Doesn't scramble or sand safe for crap, but accurate driver of the golf ball. That would come back to bite him on the small greens. If his around the green game is literally that bad, he's gonna struggle. Minwood with his irons, I'm out on just on the merit of like you've got to be better there, and that's pretty much it. Aaron Rye is also very similar to Colin Morikawa, but I'm just scared of where his game's at. I mean, a mystery WD coming in, so I'm probably a no there. I'm always gonna like Sam Stevens, even though he doesn't model well. He's just very consistent. He scrambles well. Is he good with these short irons? Nope, never mind. Out on Sam Stevens this week. So that wraps things up. Why do I feel like there's more golfers than I'm leading on right now? Oh no, they're just in a different order. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. For the 7K range, I would definitely be going to the middle. Pearson, Ricky Fowler, Ryan Gerard. Really like Nick Taylor. Sahib is very interesting. Poston's very interesting. But that's kind of gonna be it for me. And then at the top, Knapp. It's gonna be tough not to click his name. Knapp and Shane Lowry both alike. And then I want to get back in on Colin at this price tag. I mean, they're baiting us to pick him. So that's it for the 7K range. Let's see if there's any. All right, given this is an elevated event, the 6K range does have some names. You can't just completely write it off. And I think it definitely can be used to unlock Scottie this week or even Rory. And another big name, but just kind of looking at where they're at coming in with good form. So Jacob Bridgman coming in great form. Same with Matt McCarty. I know he missed the cut last week, but at T18 and at T2, his True Power starts. Really like that. Ryu Hisatsune he's really trending in the right direction. T10 last week and even led for a portion of Phoenix, and then a T2 at the Farmers. That's very solid. Steven Yeager starting to turn a corner again. Again, cut, but T5 at the Farmers, T28 at Phoenix. I think that's incredibly solid. But even kind of moving down, I know Rogers didn't play the best last week, but T27 at the Farmers, T44 at the Amex, Sony at solo third. Same with McGreevy, very similar stats. Really like those guys, and then Ryan Fox is coming in some decent form. So those are definitely some names to look at from a recent form standpoint. If we kind of look around on guys that have played well in the past here, last year Lucas Glover T3, and he's got some okay finishes, but he has not played since the BMW Championship, so that's a huge concern. Tom Hoagie has elite course history here. Again, he won back in 2022. Top 20s 4 out of the last 5 years. Definitely a name to look at. Denny McCarthy. I know he struggled last year, but T4 in 2023, T12 in 2022, T26 in 2024. Those are strong numbers. And then Andrew Novak, T13 last year. And he's one of those boom or bust guys where, again, missed the cut last week, but T7 at the Farmers is solid. 17th at the Hero World Challenge is actually terrible because the 20 guys in the field. RSM, who's T7. So very boom or bust, but let's just kind of look at the model and see what the model says. I figured Bridgman was going to be a popular click. He putts incredibly well on these surfaces. Yeah, first in Poa Annua putting. Accurate driver of the golf ball. Good with his wedges scrambling. He's that high, and he doesn't even have any history here. That's crazy to think about. Yeah, he's going to be a very, very popular pick in the sixes. If you want to leverage that and maybe look at like an Andrew Novak who doesn't model as well, very hit or miss, that'd be the kind of move that I would be making. But Ryu is going to be another very popular click just with where his game has been at. I am slightly concerned that from 75 to 100 he's been this poor, but 7th from 100 to 125, that's very solid. And he gains fairways at a fairly decent clip. Sand saves, driving accuracy is good. All in all, I really do think he's a decent option. Denny with his course history, I kind of want to see where this puts us. He does not model all that well, so inaccurate drive. There's just a lot of his game that is weak right now. I think if he was coming in better form, I would be more inclined to do it. But just where his driver is at right now and his around the green game, even his approach numbers really aren't the best. Probably not going to get there. Steven Yeager is another name that kind of popped up. Does not model well at all, but he's decent around the greens. Scrambler. Seems like a decent scrambler. Now, Michael Kim. He is going to be one where he finally kind of saw something come back together last week. Where did he finish? Yep, T18 at Phoenix. He's modeling very well. His approach game is always going to be very solid. Around the greens, decent enough. He doesn't score well in the par fives, and he definitely picks up bogeys. That could be a concern, as well as the driver is very inaccurate. But he's a good scrambler, good out of the sand. Very good from 75 to 100 yards. Maybe this is where he can, if he can just keep it on the fairway. Maybe he just doesn't pull driver at all. Hits it short but straight in the fairway. Gives himself actual chances. And he's got good history at Pebble Beach, so like him. And I'm not going to get the Hoagie. He's going to be massively owned. And to be fair, it's with good reason, but I'm just not going to get there. I'd much rather go to Orion Fox, who, again, coming in sneaky, decent form. Where is he? I think he's further down here. Nope. Where did you go, Ryan? Oh, there you are. His big thing is he just pipes it off the tee. If he can follow kind of the Rory route last year and keep it somewhat in play, he could have a heavy advantage on the field this week. This is just going to be a problem. Once you get down in the 6K range, there's always going to be guys that, like, they're not going to check every box. I mean, you're kind of picking and choosing. Who was the last guy? Oh, yeah, there's only a couple of courses where I genuinely think you can play Brian Campbell. This is going to be one of those. I'm just going to look. He's probably all the way at the bottom. Now, he has sucked lately. Don't get me wrong. And he very well could finish dead last. However, this is the type of very short course, pick a spot, hit to it, and then just find your way onto the green that I think he could thrive at. T28, or not T28, 28th in driving accuracy, solid enough for me. He gains fairways at a decent clip. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the 60 range. Just some other guys that fit some molds. So Echeverria putts very well on these surfaces. I think Brian Harmon is an accurate enough driver where he can make some moves. Chris Kirk with his approach game is very solid. As well as he doesn't pick up bogeys. I think it's great from this approach range. Maybe that's a decent pivot. Down here would be Chris Kirk. Sammy Valimaki models very well. Fifth on approach. Wow, that's really good. Great on par fives. He'd be a great pivot. Putts very well on these surfaces. I think that's a decent spot. Max McGravy's playing some really good golf right now. Very consistent. Avoids bogeys. Very accurate driver. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the 6K range. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take all of these ideas that we've been talking about, all of these little stat tidbits, and try to apply them to some bets that I like this week. And we're going to go take a look at some of the changes, everything we've improved over at Tap and Fantasy, and then we'll get you on out of here. So let's go look at some bets. All right, let's take a look at some bets and get on out of here. Now, I don't really like to bet outrights. I don't really put a lot of my stock into them. I would much rather do the top 10, top 20 markets or some matchup markets, but there's no matchups currently out right now unless I'm just an absolute doofus. So looking at some of the winner picks that I've got for this week, it's either that I think they've got winning upside. I either really like their number. It's going to be one of those two factors. Now, I'm never going to bet Scottie. That's just my mantra. I'm also never going to bet the winner without Scottie unless the number is almost identical. So let's just look at the tournament winner numbers. Some of the guys that I've kind of identified that I really do like at the current price. Jake Knapp at 38-1, Harris English at 54-1. Like those two guys. Shane Lowry at 64-1 seems like an absolute stretch. Like, that's crazy. Nick Taylor's a winner on the PGA Tour. Like, he's done it numerous times, and I think he's a good course fit, so 84-1 seems like a good number. And then some of absolute bottom feeders. Michael Kim, winner on the PGA Tour. Max McGravy hasn't, but again, he's a solid golfer. I think he models very well, and maybe this could be his breakthrough win. And I'm actually seeing it. Ryu at 150 is just stupid. Like, that's just way too low of a number with how he's playing right now. And then the guy, Andrew Novak, like 185-1 for a guy that like actually has won on the tour and is an actual guy. See no problem there. And then I am going to finish it off with both Ryan Fox and Chris Kirk. Like, collectively, these guys maybe have like a 5% chance to win. Just with where the like I'm skipping the top 15 guys. But really like their numbers. I think they model well. I think they're either playing well or they're good course history or the number is just way too long, so that's kind of where I'm at. And a lot of these guys above, like, I would rather just play like Rory at 13 or Tommy at, like, not even Tommy. He is not actually a winner. Or like Goddard up at 30. I would rather go there than a lot of these other guys. I actually do think Henley's a decent shout. But that's just kind of where I'm at with the outrights. Now, I also do like to look at kind of top 30s. I think you can get a decent number on them this week. One guy that I just think this number is ridiculously high, so to speak. I know it's not high. Russell Henley for a top 30 at minus 180 feels like really good number. Same idea for, like, I don't really like him this week, but Justin Rose as well. Matt Fitzpatrick's a great top 30 at minus 152. I think where Knapp's game is at, that's a great number. It's a lot of those guys I just bet to win. If you want to get them at a top 30 at, like, really long odds. So, like, Ryan Fox plus 240 for top 30 is solid. I think McGreevy at plus 175. Michael Kim. I mean, there's only 80 guys in this field. And some of these names are absolute jabronis. Like Stephen Fisk, Johnny Vegas, Adam Shank, Joe Highsmith, Podgeter currently, Schmid, Finau with where his game's at. Like, some of these guys have absolutely no chance. So I think these are decent numbers just to sneak into the top half of the field, essentially. Does it with ties? No, it's just top 30 alone. So you could get dead heated. But either way, those are just kind of some of the numbers that I like. I also like Harrison English. Am I going to bet all these? No, by no means. Shane Lowry top 30 at plus 100 is stupid. Nick Taylor. Again, it's a lot of the same names from before. Even Denny at a top 30. He plays really well here. Same with Bridgman. So that's kind of where I'm at with some of my bets. So now we're going to go take a look at Tapin Fantasy. We've been working really hard behind the scenes to get everything up, ready to rumble. So just all in all, like, again, homepage, same thing. We've made significant improvements to our leaderboards. We finally got it optimized to include. We need to update this, but we've got our bonus points, all of our scoring correctly. It'll show you your finishing position, finishing score. Being able to, again, we had this, but now we've got it fully figured out, is give a drop down. It gives you round by round stats of what they did, how they scored, all that kind of stuff. We are really excited. We are getting really, really, really close. Some just other UI touch-up things that we got to do before we're ready to roll this out to everyone. So that's pretty much it for me this week. I'm really excited to watch Pebble. It's always a great viewing experience. I know that the times, it takes a while for the rounds to get over with just because, again, it's a Pro-Am, so these guys should be getting done in a couple hours when they're really not. It's kind of drug on, but it's always a great tournament to watch. I'm really excited to see if people are going to follow what Rory did last year, or if they're going to do the typical, hit to a spot, accurate, all that kind of stuff. So best of luck to everybody this week, and I'll catch you next time.